Hi, it's Jenny. It's time to review a book again. This time it's The President's Hat by Antoine Lauret. I'm not good at French, but you get the point. It's the first book I finished I started reading this in April. It's The President's Hat by Antoine Lauret. I can try to pronounce the original title, which is Le Chapeau de Mitterrand, I think. I'm not good at French. I never learned French in school, and I haven't learned French after school either, so yeah. This is the book I started reading in April and finished in May, at the beginning of May. It is a book that takes place mostly in Paris at the second half of the 1980s. It starts off by the reader getting to know a man by the name Daniel Mercier. His wife and his son is at his wife's parents, and he's a bit lonely, so he goes out to a restaurant and eats dinner. And during this dinner, the table next to him, at that table, the president, François Mitterrand, and two other people, two persons, are having dinner, and that was something that Daniel thought was sensational. This was a story of a lifetime that he would tell his grandkids. But at the end he drew out his dinners to last as long as the president was sitting at the table next to him. And when the president left, Daniel saw that the president has forgotten his hat, and Daniel actually snagged it. He took it as his own and went out into the night. And yeah, that's the start of this story about the hat, which is the focus of this book. This hat has some interesting characteristics, I would say. It makes the person who wears it feel a lot of confidence, and it sort of gives the bearer confidence that the bearer is missing, or rather that the bearer didn't know he or she had. So the hat goes on an adventure, actually, and I don't want to tell you too much more about it, actually, because it will spoil you for the plot if I do. So let's see. What did I think about this book then? This was a rather slow story. It took... not much happened in it, and unfortunately I wasn't impressed. It's a rather short book, but yet again it took me a very long time to read, which it shouldn't have. The only reason that I actually finished this book was that it is a part of a challenge that I do have this year. It's called Book 12, if you translate it. You list 12 authors that you want to read that you haven't read before, and Antoine Lauret was one of them on my list. So that's why I finished the book, otherwise I wouldn't have. It was actually that boring, unfortunately. first off, it was the language. My understanding of French is that it's very wordy, it's beautiful, it has lovely metaphors and stuff like that, but I don't know if it has to do with the translation or if it is the language of the author. But the language in this book was so what's it called in English? It was very, I think the French usually have a very melodic language, but the language in this book was very dot 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 dot. It was word on word. No, that's not the word. It was very pointy. It was very boring, and it was very almost this happened dot, this happened dot. There wasn't a lot of beautiful metaphors, there wasn't a lot of melody in the language. It was very square, if boxy, in a bad way actually. It didn't sit good with me. That's as much as I can say. Let's see, the story in itself was not what I expected. This time, as usual, I'm not sure what I expect from a story, but I feel sometimes that the story doesn't give me the feelings or go the way I expect it to go, even though I don't know what I expect of it. This one was not what I expected it to be, and it was in a bad way that it didn't live up to my expectations of it. So that was bad. There were times where I actually almost fell asleep reading this one. It was that boring, unfortunately. Seeing that this book is a 220-page book, it shouldn't take that long to read, and it's a rather short book, but it felt so long. Because mostly I think I wanted to get to the end of it. That's why it felt so long. So no, unfortunately this is not a book that I like, nor is it a book I would recommend. But if you like a boxy language and a sort of odd book, this is the book for you. Give it a chance at least. That would be my recommendations. So yeah, that I think is my thoughts on The President's Hat by Antoine Lorrain. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!